I am a stand for unapologetic prosperity. What does that mean? By breathing alone, you are worthy of whatever you can conceive as your next level money, meaning, and joy. So I invite you to just step into that. Give yourself permission to have a new experience.
Have you been wanting to achieve a goal and you just aren't getting past the finish line? Turns out it could be energy that is getting in your way. Welcome to Women Leaders on the Move, a Her C-Suite radio podcast. I'm your host, Natalie Benamou, and every week I bring you inspirational stories and ideas to help you move past the finish line and keep going. I'm also the founder of Her C-Suite, where we help women in the second half of our careers and life and define what's next. My guest today is Susan Glusica, and I was introduced to her by one of our Her C-Suite members, Elena Zucker. And I had so many interesting conversations with Susan that we decided today we needed to do a podcast. Susan Glusica, the unrivaled realizer, humanizes the fastest path to receiving more money as a stand for unapologetic prosperity. I can't wait for you to hear all the ways that she is helping women entrepreneurs unlock where they're stuck and talk about money as energy. Let's get started with this conversation now. I'm so excited to welcome you to Women Leaders on the Move today. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
We met through Elena Zucker, who introduced us, and like in 2 seconds, we were just fast friends. And so let's start with you, your background, and what's bringing us to this moment.
After 20 years on the corporate cubicle side of the financial industry, the investment, the data, and the insurance side, so all all encompassing there, I had a crisis of legacy, couldn't see my next step, and someone very astutely observed, "Oh, I think you'd be good doing what I do, which is helping people with their financial plans." He was my own financial advisor, saw something in me I didn't know existed, and I said, "Sure," because I trusted him. And he turned out to be right because planning sets me on fire. And I thought that was my next level. However, because we do planning a little bit differently, I thought something has to change because it was like oil and water, what I was talking about in terms of exponential wealth building and people's kind of middle class mindset, if you will, of no, 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 I'm adding to my retirement, I'm adding to my savings and so forth. So in the summer of 2018, I had a signature discovery. I saw that there are 7 energetic levels of money consciousness because everything's energy, so is money. It's like what Albert Einstein says, you get to be a frequency match to the reality that you want. It's not philosophy, it's physics, right? It's the same with money. And I credit Sir David Hawkins, who wrote Power versus Force, with helping me get that insight. And then I wrote about it in my international bestseller, Money Energy Mastery, the 7 money realities. That's what I call them. And I built a coaching methodology around it so I can add 2 to 3 times more on the front end. And then if you want it and it's a fit, 2 to 3 times more on the back end.
A lot of people think about mindset, right? That I have to just think about it and I'm going to do it. But what we're talking about is vibration and energy, which is a completely different thing. Can you describe what those two things are so that our audience can understand better and absorb what we're about to talk about?
So everybody knows the law of attraction, right? Universal laws which apply to everyone equally all the time. Knowing that, understanding them and leveraging them can help you quantum leap. But what we don't understand too much, or what's not really that much spoken about, other than the law of attraction, which is I attract things to me, right? That's the law of attraction, very shortly. And then what the law of attraction leverages are 2 other laws because it's the law of resonance. Things vibrate, right? So you were talking about frequency. This is what's in Sir David Hawkins' book that I mentioned. He created the map of human consciousness that every state of consciousness, say shame, courage, love, gratitude, just to kind of pin on a couple of them, has a specific log or resonance or number. But then the law of resonance leverages the law of vibration. So the law of resonance is like foundational when you're talking about energy, but then the amplifier is the resonance, meaning it's like when you have two tuning forks that are in the same harmony or megahertz, and you ping one of them, it'll make the other one in close proximity, the other one vibrate, demonstrating that like resonates with like. So that's just the short way to understand this.
So you have been thinking about this and you've written about it. And I'm curious, where do people get stuck? Like if they're on their journey, what is something that might hold us back from being able to go to that higher resonance and vibration? What is that thing?
So here are the three challenges. I'll explain it for my ideal client because it's kind of connected to the audience here. So my ideal client are highly ambitious or high income fempreneurs and business leaders, whether you have your own business or you're in corporate. But what stops you from next leveling is three things. You're trying to balance profit with purpose, or in corporate speak, right? You're like, well, I see the next level, but it's not really in soul alignment for me, right? That's a big challenge. So people in your audience know this. They're kind of mid-career ish and saying, well, maybe I'm going to reassess. When it comes to the money piece, many people will be willing to leave money on the table to go and have that soul alignment position. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to leave money on the table. You can still have both. Second challenge is systemic bias and barriers. Again, I'm focused in for women because it's a huge thing going right now. And with an eye on the prize, right, so to speak, for clients and me, that there's a big wealth transfer coming. And so we have to get ready. And if we haven't been mastering our own financial plan and managing it and used to getting good with the numbers, if we're not already doing it, being a participant in that plan, if we have a partner, not just leaving it to them, which I see all the time, but men plan differently than women. So that's a big thing. Access to venture capital for those of us who are fempreneurs is part of that challenge, right? But you can out energize that. That's part of what I show people is how do you elevate not only your financial frequency, but unlock your wealth frequency by elevating your money, energy, and economy. You can have your own economy and it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the world. It's like really awesome how this energy stuff works. And then the third challenge that I see is, believe it or not, and this shocked me, quite honestly, is that high income fempreneurs and business leaders are still struggling with overwhelm. Like, so you're in the top 10, 12% of income earners, and you're still contending with overwhelm. But money gives us options, right? So that to me, that didn't make sense, but that's the stats. And so we're struggling with overwhelm as well as self-imposed pressure, pressure to be there for our family, pressure to perform, pressure, right? So with energy, leveraging energy, what I call financial frequency, you can out energize all of that.
So if someone's listening to this and they're saying, yes, that's me. I think I have this barrier, or yes, I have this. What what's the first thing to start thinking differently?
So it starts with energy. So Bob Proctor would say, you think on a frequency. I would contend, and it's been my experience, that you have to be the frequency before the thought. And let's all just appreciate that we're more than our thoughts, we're more than our emotions, and right, we're a holistic being, right? So the frequency that you are vibing, for lack of a better word, most of the time will dictate what money you are attracting, magnetizing, and receiving, right? And inviting in. So the first thing I tell people is if you want to quantum leap out of, if you will, whatever your average hum mode has been, and you're not happy with your financial reality or your circumstance, like whatever you've been attracting, and you want to up level, the quantum leap is number one, write a love letter to money as if it's your lover and you want to woo money to your life. Explain the great things you're going to do together. Ask for forgiveness if you've mismanaged it in the past, right? With too much debt or whatever, that kind of stuff. And really go like make it multiple pages. And the second tip is you want to be pivoting to express gratitude for everything, even the unpreferred, even if you don't get that corporate board position, or you don't get that venture capital, or you don't get that client, or whatever the thing is that you were really wanting and hoping for. If it doesn't happen, usually we express disappointment, but when you can pivot into gratitude, it's kind of a surrender and trust moment that you believe and know that you are in the right place, even though it feels like something you did want, maybe there's something better, right? So maybe that happened for a reason to set you up for an even better next step for you and for those you serve.
It's interesting that you say that because my background is sales. That was my whole career, and I've always been a cup overflowing. Like I've never been a, half full. I've never looked at anything that way. I would manifest opportunities would come my way because I would have a conversation. I used to have a team of 7 people that were on my team supporting me, and I would have a conversation with one of them. And I say, I just need that one more project, and then that afternoon the project would come. And I believe in The Secret. Sidebar, I had a major head injury when The Secret had just come out, and I used it. I swear by it that I used it to get back from couldn't form a sentence to today. So I do believe in like raising yourself up. But I also think it's an approach when doors close, windows open, it's up to us to fly through and realize that there's something better through that window. And I think it's really easy. So when something doesn't go the way you're expecting, right? There's that moment. And I give myself generally an hour, maximum 12. But I give myself a very short time frame because you have to process. You can't just be like, "Oh, it's fine," because then you're suppressing. So you feel it, and then that's it. I once had a boss who was like, "Success is my best revenge." And it's like that mindset is okay, that didn't work, but then something so much bigger is on the horizon, and you have to have that open idea. I think so often something doesn't come our way, we shut down.
Well, you know why? Because as humans, we get over attached to our way, to our vision. Not that visions and, mission statements and so aren't good things. They are. But you want to approach everything, even the other humans in your world that you're working with and serving and having fun with and all of that, with a level of detachment. And in that, again, it's this trust that the universe or source or God, however you see that entity, right, has your back as and wants you to have what you want even more than you want to have it.
Once we open our minds to the possibilities and you're, getting up to that frequency, what are some things that you do in your work with women and fempreneurs to get them over that? Because there is definitely, we get in our own heads and we tell ourselves, like, oh, well, you know, we tell ourselves bad things, things that are so bad that you would never say to a friend, but we certainly have no problem saying these things to ourselves. So, what are some of the things that you do to help people get out of that, wherever they are, the stuck? I don't think the stuck is a word, but like quicksand. They're in the quicksand. What do you do to tell someone to get out? Reach for the branch.
It's a great question. I was just, as you were speaking, I was thinking of the workshop that I did yesterday, in which we closed it out with releasing your least supportive beliefs, emotions, or memories. And I have one mastermind client who was present, and she has done this before, and it's an iterative process, right? So that's the thing is, even if you think like or feel like you have done all the work and you've rewritten your money story and you've worked with this coach or that coach or whatever. I had someone come in the workshop who said yes to working further together, and she's been mentored by even the same mentor that I had her for 5 years, and this other person had her for 2 years. Like, it doesn't matter. All of that stuff doesn't matter. What matters is where you are today and where do you clearly, like crystal clearly, want to go. So a lot of times people will be really vocal at telling me what they don't want. And I'm going to encourage everybody to, this is one of the key things I help people on the front end with. What do you really want? How much money, by when, and other things, right? We don't want the money, we want what the money enables us to be, do, have, and give. Women love to be philanthropic, love to take care of our families, our communities, etc. Sometimes we don't take care of ourselves enough, which in business means we're not taking a big enough salary, right? So help step you into that by affirming your value, helping you rewrite your money story. Yes, again, if need be. And that becomes your affirmation. And then we do other things like clearing your biggest money block. If you're curious what that is, I do a clarity call where I identify your biggest money block, and I guarantee it's not what you think it is. And it only takes 20 minutes. And I love doing that just to have to raise awareness, right? It all starts with awareness. And then we ideate and innovate the top 3 ways to bring in whatever that money goal is in the next 30 days, right? And sometimes this is, they want 6 figures in, 5 weeks, or they want not even 6 figures, it's like $10,000 or $5,000. Depends. I don't judge people's, money goals, because you're wherever you are at and you want whatever you want that money for. And everybody's different. I'm not here to say you should be a millionaire, right? Some people can't contain that in their energy field. So whatever they can contain with a little stretch, that's what I like to facilitate with them.
I think a lot of times if we peel back the onion, and I don't know if this resonates with you, but what I'm thinking about when you're saying this is when you say to someone, "What is it that you really want?" I think we're afraid to admit what we want because we've been conditioned to think, well, I can't really say I want to be a millionaire because then I sound XYZ. It comes down to this like fear of even saying it out loud. You start thinking, well, what would they think of me then if they hear me say that? So, what do you tell someone if they aren't even going to say it out loud?
And I'll add to that, and or their experience has gotten them to a level where, because they're dealing with that systemic bias I mentioned before, they're no longer feeling like that's a safe thing even to go forward with, like what they want. So where we start is getting clear, what's the belief under that? So usually it's a fear of judgment, right? It's caring too much what others will think. I mean, and I'm not making light of this, right? It's from very good reasons and experiences and all of that, right? And when you uncover what that fundamental underlying belief is, you can clear it. And there's lots of clearing tools out there. I prefer, Dr. Yvonne Oswald has a great book, Every Word Has Power. And in there are 2 key exercises that I have her permission to use with my clients. And I do refer clients to her because I don't do some of the things that she does. And she doesn't necessarily do all of the things that I do in the money energy side. So we're a good fit for, closing each other's gaps. And she's a wonderful hypnotist and NLP. She combines those 2 disciplines exceedingly well. So you can, and it releases in literally 30 minutes. You don't have to spend decades in a therapist chair, right? You can clear this very quickly. And I like the fast result. I'm all about unapologetic prosperity. Simply because you are breathing, you are worthy. By breathing alone, you're worthy. That's a tenet of my philosophy.
And so for entrepreneurs, once they get through this process and they've released this idea, the things that are holding them back, what is the next thing that they do to get started to get to that higher, energy vibration?
Well, so I mentioned expressing gratitude. I have in my workshop, the bonus is I give them 100 ways to elevate your financial frequency, right? Essentially, it's finding and repeating the things that elevate your vibration. So if you like listening to classical music or rock music or any other kind of music, I just realized the other day, it's been a while since I actually listened to music in the house. And so this morning, doing a few things, I was listening to the track of Sahara, the movie, because I like that soundtrack. And immediately you get like turned on your vibe, right? And yeah, I use, my little earbuds. So nobody's the wiser, right? I'm happily working out of my home, so I don't have to deal with an office environment. But if I had to, right, and I needed some quiet work time, but I wanted to be high vibe because I want to be really focused and productive, I would do the same thing, right? So it's finding, or maybe your desk is a little more cluttered and it's a little distracting. So taking the 5 or 10 minutes, either at the start of the day or the end of the day, to make sure that your workspace and environment is productive for you, organized, tidy, that's high vibe in and of itself. Has a plant or, elements of plants in the arena, like that's natural beauty is high vibe. Artwork, I've got artwork on my walls, right? That's all high vibe. So we mimic our external environment. That's a really good first step. If you can't do it internally first, start with the outside and then you'll start feeling it on the inside.
And what are some of the examples of the benefit that you've seen once women go through these things? Talk a little bit about the outcomes.
Right. So the outcomes are huge. I mean, I had somebody who came for a VIP day and in 10 days, she had 100K business revenue from which she extracted the 10K personal that she wanted for herself. The promise was 10K in 30 days. She got 100K in 10 days. So, but she had done a lot of money mindset work. But what she realized when she got home after that VIP day was she had journaled a lot of don'ts. I don't want this. I don't want that. And what she failed to recognize because nobody had taught her, it's not her fault. Nobody illuminated this for her, that the mind, the brain does not hear the negative. So when you say don't forget your keys, guess what? You're going to forget your keys. If you say remember your keys, you'll remember your keys, right? So she threw out all of her journals and started over and had a really huge result in the first 10 days.
Amazing. Yeah, I journal every morning. It's always positive. It's always like today's going to be the day I'm going to crush it. I mean, I like I change it up every day.
Here's something you can do. You can write it as a fait accompli, right? You can write it as already done and claim it as already done. I do an energetic recalibration with my mastermind clients, and I do a mini version of that in my workshops, and I give that as the replay bonus. And they bring in one of the energy centers, you can bring in, it connects to your future money master. And that, when you connect to your future money master and you adjust your frequency to match your future's frequency, that's also a quantum leap. So I tell everybody who wants to work with me, buckle up. This is going to be fast. We go through things very, very quickly, and you're going to have bigger money results in your bank account than you have been having. It's 2 to 3 times, generally speaking. When somebody wants to work with me, that's what they want.
So if people want to find you, where is the place that they should go?
Everything's on my website, susanglusica.com. I'm sure you'll have a link in the notes. And there's a couple of things. All of my social media connection, links are on the bottom. Find me wherever you like to be. I'm all over the place. I'm especially focused right now on LinkedIn, and that speaks to your audience because they're mostly professionals, right? I'm building a really cool LinkedIn group over there, so that's been fun.
This has been so fun. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for spending your time with us today. I know know you feel as energetic as I do. I love talking with Susan, and I have so many ideas every time I hear the philosophy and strategies that she uses to help unravel the things that are holding us back to move forward with abundance. I know that you will do so, and I can't wait to hear how it's helped you. So reach out to me and let me know. If this episode helped you, one of the best things you can do is share it with a friend or colleague so she can understand and unlock where she's stuck and grow as well. Keep shining your light bright. The world needs you.